depression, recession, call it what you will. This was a created financial catastrophe. The thing that might be difficult for some people to deal with, to confront, is the fact that it was created. And that's a matter of really looking at the research. It's actually a matter of looking at what occurred, not listening to all the talking heads, because CNN, MSNBC, Fox, it doesn't make any difference. They're full of people with opinions. But opinions and 325 will get you a grande decaf latte at Starbucks. What you have to do is look at what's occurring, what's actually occurring. And the fact of the matter is that the fiscal autonomy of the United States has been not only compromised, but has officially been dished off to another international agency. There are such things as conspiracies, meaning, in the real definition of the word, people sitting down and figuring out a plan to do something. Not all conspiracies are bad. There are good conspiracies, bad conspiracies, or whatever. But if you look at the players here, if you look at what they did, exactly what they did, the effects these things had, both on the U.S. economy and the global economy, unquestionably.
In 2008, the economy took a downfall which caused massive job losses as well as many housing losses for Americans. This is a social justice issue because according to Catholic social teaching, every human being has certain rights that should not be infringed upon. A big one is the fact that every human has the right to dignity. The people who lost their jobs, their money, and their family were not shown dignity because they had to move out onto the streets and were forced to give up on their families in order to survive. According to the USCCB, this crisis involves far more than just economic or technical matters, but has enormous human impact and clear ethical dimensions which should be at the center of debate and decisions on how to move forward. Families are losing their homes, retirement savings are at risk, and people are losing jobs and their benefits. According to Forbes, it's clear to anyone who has studied the financial crisis of 2008 that the private sector's drive for short-term profit was behind it. More than 84% of the subprime mortgages in 2006 were issued by private lending. These private firms made nearly 83% of subprime loans to low and moderate income borrowers that year. Out of the top 25 subprime lenders in 2006, only one was subject to the usual mortgage laws and regulations. The non-bank underwriters made more than 12 million subprime mortgages with a value of nearly $2 trillion. The lenders who made these were exempt from federal regulations. Each person should know what goes on in these banks and keep track of the things that they are doing. According to the USCCB, it is the church's duty to shed light on the social questions of our time. The church cannot and must not remain on the sidelines in the fight for justice. According to Chairman Ben Bernanke, the problem of too big to fail and the policies that the government uses to address that problem will be a particular focus of your forthcoming report and in the hearing today. In my view, the too big to fail issue can be best understood in the broader context of the financial crisis itself. Accordingly, this testimony provides an overview of the factors underlying the crisis, as well as some of the problems that complicated public officials' management of the crisis. Too big to fail financial institutions were both a source, though by no means the only source of the crisis, and among the primary independents to policymakers' efforts to contain it. As you requested, I will also briefly discuss monetary policy during the period prior to the crisis. Before proceeding, I should state that my testimony reflects my own views and not necessarily those views of my colleagues on the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System or the Federal Open Market Committee. The bank should agree on one policy that is morally right. To do this, they should look at a statement by the USCCB. The principle of solidarity commits us to the pursuit of the common good, not the search for partisan gain or economic advantage. Protection of the vulnerable, workers, business owners, homeowners, renters, and stockholders must be included in the commitment to protect economic institutions. As church leaders, we are asked that you give proper priority to the poor and the most vulnerable. According to the USCCB, our nation is currently in the midst of an economic crisis. As Catholics, we have a vulnerable resource in the Catholic social teaching that gives us principles and themes to use as we analyze economic life in the light of our faith and respond in ways that promote the dignity of all. All economic life should be shaped by moral principles. Economic choices and institutions must be judged by how they protect and undermine the life and dignity of the human person, support the family, and serve the common good. In Pope Benedict's third encyclical, there is a call to see the relationship between human and the environmental ecologies and the link charity and truth in the pursuit of justice, the common good, and the authentic human development. In doing so, the Pope points out that the responsibilities and limitations of government and the private market challenges traditional ideologies of right and left and calls all men and women to think and act anew. We are making resources available to help ministry leaders and individuals explore and promote the Holy Father's teaching letter. According to data collected by the U.S. Data Collection Agency, many individuals have also been affected by the financial crisis because of its effects on their employers. At the end of 2008 and beginning of 2009, the gross domestic product of the U.S., which is the total amount of goods and services produced by the country, was reduced by about 6% compared to the previous year. As many companies struggled to cope with the crisis, large numbers of people have lost their jobs. The unemployment rate grew to 10.1% in 2009, which was the highest it's been since 1983, and about twice the rate immediately before the crisis. Losing your income can be difficult at any time, but the financial crisis has made unemployment worse for many people. Because it has become more difficult to find a new job, many companies have been reluctant to hire any new people. And with the extra competition created by the high unemployment rate, finding a new job has become even more difficult than usual. Recent graduates looking for their first job have experienced similar difficulties in finding employment, which is the combination of their student debts has resulted in serious problems for many young U.S. citizens. There are many solutions that one can use to make sure that this economic crisis does not happen again and to help make sure that people are not infringed upon. To make sure that we can avoid this next time, we need to listen to the people who say that there is the quote-unquote bubble that is going to burst or the perfect storm as mentioned earlier. A big way to do this is to eliminate the human greed. Knowing that we cannot do this, we should force it by having a more rigid system to manage the amount of money a person should make, and by having a review process to make sure that the people are not stealing money from their clients. Another possible solution is we should remove the people that caused the crisis from power and put in new people that will not allow this to happen again. One of the major issues that occurred was many of the people who were causing the crisis were in high-ranking positions within the Federal Reserve, which is appointed by the president. Another solution that we should use is limit the amount of money that the CEOs and high business people can make so that they're not making billions of dollars and not caring about the lower classes. Many CEOs are making close to 3 times the salaries of their lowest worker. Another way to make sure that this does not happen again is we should have a process for the investors to find out where their money goes. We had a process like this, which was the rating system, but the rating system was flawed in the fact that it was only opinions and not based on an exact